Chapter 2, Whoosh, Thump. Let's Stay Together by Al Green. The year is 1996. Whoosh, Thump. Every dang morning. Whoosh, thump. When I least expected it. Here it comes again. Whoosh, thump. All I know is 1 minute I'm in my bed asleep, and the next minute I hear a whoosh, the sound of the comforter flying off the bed, and then a thump, the sound of my butt plopping down on that bedroom carpet. By the time my butt hit the floor, I was startled, but awake, confused, and irritated. Around this time, I was just a little 13-year-old boy who loved nothing more than stretching out in that squeaky, full-size bed and going to sleep. I loved to sleep, and I would stay asleep all day, every day, if my parents would allow it. During this time, my mother had retired from her career, and she had been dealing with some health challenges. She would oftentimes sleep in early mornings to get some much-needed rest. It was my father's job to wake me up and make sure I got to school on time. Now, in my eyes, and at this time in my life, my dad was nothing short of a hero without a cape. I just knew that God had never made a better man anywhere in the world. I mean, my dad was teaching me responsibility, respect, how to do new things like fish and garden. You know, all the things dads should be teaching their sons. He was doing his best at trying to raise me to be a great man one day. And I loved my dad for all these reasons. But at that time, there was just one thing we couldn't see eye to eye on, and that was me waking up on time. I needed to be at school no later than 8 a.m. School breakfast was from 7:15 a.m. to 8 a.m. If I arrived after 8 o'clock a.m., I was considered tardy, but I had to be at that bus stop by 7 a.m. or my dad would have to take me to school, which he definitely didn't want to do. Every morning, it was the same fight. Round one, around 6:15 a.m., my dad would open that door and say, "Brandon, get up. It's time for school." I'd mumble, "Okay," and go back to sleep. Round two, it's 6:25 a.m. My dad walks in the room and gives me about 3 rough shakes. "Wrong, wrong, wrong. Get up now. I'm not gonna keep coming in here." On the way out of the room, he flipped on the ceiling fan light. Ooh, and you talking about something that would piss me off. I say something like, okay, I'm getting up now." He walks out the room, and I pull the covers over my head to block out the light. And guess what? Back to sleep I go. Round three, it's now 6:30 a.m. and I'm startled back awake by my dad is banging on my bedroom door, and now he's upset. He yanks the cover off. "Boy, didn't I tell you to get up? If I have to come back in here and wake you up again, I'm going to beat your butt. You're too old for this. I'm not going to keep on saying the same thing to you over and over." He turns on the TV, turns up the volume, just enough to annoy me, and he leaves the room. Now, clearly, I don't want this butt whipping he's promising me. So I finally get out of the bed. Now, sitting back and reflecting on my younger years, I can admit that I thought I was smarter than everyone and I could usually beat the system. However, this line of thinking oftentimes kept me in trouble. Sometimes it worked, but sometimes it didn't. Now, to give myself just a few more minutes of sleep, I would open my closet door just enough so my dad could see it open. I would step inside and put on the pants I wanted to wear to school that day, lay on the closet floor, and sneak me a few more minutes of sleep. Round 4. Now, It's 6:45. 15 minutes till I gotta go. My dad walks past the room and sees that I'm out of the bed and that the closet door is open. And he shouts, "You up?" I jump up off the floor in the closet and quickly clear my throat and ramble the hangers around and say, "Yes, sir, I'm just finding a shirt." Oftentimes, this would work. I would then get dressed, run to the bathroom, wash my face real good, brush my teeth, pop them shoes on, and run out the door to make it to the bus stop just at the right moment. Step right on the bus and make it to school on time. But not this time. I spent too much time in the bathroom. While I was running down to catch the bus, I saw it pass me by. "Shit!" I yelled, because now I had to go back in this house and tell my daddy I had missed the bus. Y'all, I would have rather walked the 2 hours to the school in torrential rains than to have to go back up that driveway and tell him I missed that dang bus. I walk into the kitchen and Dad says, "You forgot something?" I slowly look up and say, "I missed the bus. I guess it came early or something." I squint my eyes real tight and wait for his reaction. But after about a minute, I realized that he didn't have a reaction. He just kept fixing his coffee. After about 3 minutes, he looked at me and said, "Go on, get in the truck. I'll be out there in a minute." So here I am sitting in the truck alone, nervous as hell, as I always am when I know I done messed up. My dad gets in the truck and doesn't say a word. We back out and head down the driveway towards the main road. This was 1996. That little truck only had a tape player. My dad reached over and grabbed a cassette tape from the doorside pocket and slid that cassette in the tape player. He adjusts the volume just right, and I hear the voice of Al Green singing "For the Good Times." And we ride on for about 10 more minutes. Halfway to school, my dad turns down the music and in a very calm but firm voice says, "Now, what happened today can't happen no more. We're going to have to find a way for you to be able to get yourself up on your own. I'm not mad at you. I'm just very disappointed in you right now because your mama and I didn't raise you to be lazy. Lazy people get nowhere in life. We raised you to be independent and take care of your business. You're not a baby, and I shouldn't have to dang near pull you out of bed in the mornings." After he said that to me, we just rode in silence. I didn't respond, not because I didn't want to, but because I just felt so bad that I couldn't muster the words. My dad has always had a way of talking to you in a still, calm, loving voice and making you feel horrible about whatever it is that you did, but also loved. The feeling is worse than a whipping could ever be. Once I got out of my head, I realized that we weren't at the school, but we were making a detour. My dad pulled into Burger King drive-thru and ordered me my favorite breakfast sandwich at the time. A sausage, egg, and cheese crust sandwich with a Minute Maid orange juice. He never said another word to me that entire trip. He handed me the food and turned his cassette tape back on. This time, I remember hearing Al Green singing, "Let's Stay Together. Loving you whether times are good or bad, happy or sad." I began to sing with Al Green a little bit. "It's all right with me." And my favorite part said, "You make me feel." I remember thinking how much I loved my dad. He was upset with me and he still went out of his way and got me my favorite breakfast sandwich because he knew I had missed breakfast. At that point, I was in complete and utter agreement with Al Green, thinking, yeah, I want to be together with my dad forever. We will never separate. I love him no matter what. As I bit down in that cheesy sausage sandwich, with the jelly dripping off my face. When we finally got to school, my dad never said a word. I just got my backpack and got out. Little did I know what was coming. I would absolutely hate it. When I got home from school that day, I walked in the house, took my backpack upstairs to my room, and started getting ready to get out of my school clothes and go outside to ride my bike. My dad called my name in a tone that I was confused by. Either he was very upset or very excited. "Brandon, come here!" As I walked down the stairs, I could see a little brown cardboard box sitting on the living room table. I walked over to it and I said, "What's this?" With a smirk on his face, my dad said, "Open it. I got it for you." When I finally got the box open, it was a little silver clock with 2 bells on top. My dad said excitedly, "It's a Big Ben!" I said, "Oh." He must have known from the look on my face that I had no idea what a Big Ben was, because he said, "It's a Big Ben alarm clock. See? Look here." He grabbed it out of my hand and showed me how to set the clock, and then he showed me the alarm feature. He was sure to explain to me how to use the clock and that it would help solve all my problems I have with waking up on time in the mornings. He turned the alarm on to test it. And when it went off, he laughed and said, "You can't sleep through that." I took the clock to my room, happy to have a new gadget. I set it on the nightstand right next to my lamp. But I never set the alarm. I had no intentions on being waken up by that loud ass alarm. 6:15 a.m. the next morning, my dad walks in the room and sees that I'm not up. He walks over to the clock, picks it up, and says, "This boy didn't even set the damn alarm." My dad yanks that comforter off that bed, whoosh. He then grabs me while I'm asleep under the arms, pulls me to the edge of the bed, stands me straight up, lets me go, and walks off. I woke up on my way down, thump, as my butt hits the carpet. Oh, it was no denying. I was wide awake at that point. Ugh, I grunted as I'm getting up off the floor and trying to figure out what happened. I could hear my dad laughing on the other side of the door. When I finally composed myself, I went straight to the toilet for my morning pee. "You up?" my dad yelled from the hallway while wearing an audible smirk. I looked over at the door with a side eye, irritated as I could be, and said, "I'm up." Now, one would think that this would have been a one-time lesson for me. But oh no, this became a daily routine. My dad was determined to get me to wake up at the appropriate time without him having to beg me to get out of bed. I hated it so much that I eventually just used the alarm clock and got up on my own without needing any prompting. And that is how my dad taught me the importance of waking up on time. You know, it's funny how life tends to work out sometimes. Once my dad saw that I was actually using that alarm clock, getting up on my own, getting dressed and to the bus without his intervention, he just randomly began taking me to school anyway. He would be up having himself a cup of coffee and I would be coming down the stairs, headed out the door. He'd say, "Come on, I'll take you to school." Now that I think back on this story, I realize that it really wasn't so much an issue of him taking me to school. It was more so him wanting me to be self-sufficient and learn how to manage those things that I want to do and prioritize the things that I needed to do. My dad was teaching me a life lesson that I really appreciate now as an adult. Riding in that truck with him early mornings, listening to the blues, is one of my fondest childhood memories. I mean, I can just hear Al Green now, singing the soundtrack to my childhood.
Being in love with someone, yeah. Oh, baby, love and a happiness. Love and a happiness.